Good morning, Dallas office staff. All right, so this week we're going to be covering wasps, spiders, and scorpions. This is as the weather warms up, we are going to start seeing these insects and arachnids start to pop up a lot more, especially in Texas and Oklahoma. Once we start hitting 80-degree weather on a regular basis, we're really going to start seeing these arthropods come out in full force, and customers are going to call us about them, and we need to know what they look like and what we do for them and how we can make sure that our customers are taken care of. So ants, bees, and wasps and are going to belong to the insect order Hymenoptera. Okay, Hymenoptera in its English meaning means membraned wing. A lot of the common types of wasps we as pest control professionals will encounter are yellow jackets, European hornets, paper wasps, cicada killers, parasitic wasps, and mud daubers. Um, we can gain control over these insects through multiple avenues, such as environmental control, basically making unappealing nesting sites, sweeping down wasp nests in the early spring, especially whenever the queens begin to emerge from the ground as the weather warms up. She's fertile when she emerges. She's trying to make a new nest so she can lay her first brood. So taking those down whenever we see them is really, really important. We can do chemical control, and then we can also eliminate their food sources. So starting off with the yellow jackets or Vespula vulgaris. Yellow jackets generally are going to build their nests underground, although above ground nests are possible. Yellow jacket wasps are opportunistic and will eat whatever food is available, such as fruit, raw meat, and even other insects. They're often found near trash cans. Yellow jackets can sting multiple times and pose more of a stinging hazard than hornets and paper wasps because of their concealed nests in large colonies. A lot of times when we find these types of insects, is a customer is probably mowing their grass or walking around their yard, or a dog gets close to it, and it ends up just being like a small hole in the ground, and they're going to use the soft dirt to kind of carve out a gallery for their nest. And if you're mowing, if you're walking near them and they feel that vibration, they're going to come out of the ground and they're going to try to defend their nest like most wasps and hornets will do. This is usually when we get the calls to come take care of those. Now, when we have yellow jackets specifically, we tend to kind of want to send a specialty technician out there just because we do need to get close to the nest to be able to treat it well, either with a spray or dusts. And because we have to get close enough to it to be able to treat it, and it is kind of in an open area or on the ground, the specialty technicians will wear a bee suit, and we want them to be safe while treating. So if we have confirmed yellow jackets, we really want to send a specialty technician out there to take care of the initial service. Since they are equipped to be able to do general pest control along with everything else they do, we want to send them out there to take care of these specifically. And here's what they look like. A lot of times, they're going to have a lot of yellow and with black striping on the abdomen, with a primarily black thorax and a black head. They'll have some yellowing on there as well, but primarily the abdomen is what's going to be our dead giveaway. The European hornet, or Vespa crabro. The European hornet is the largest social wasp in North America, coming in at 1 to 1.5 inches. Hornet nests are often inverted pear-shaped, enclosed or semi-enclosed, paper carton nests that are up to 3 feet long. They prefer to build their nests in hollow trees, but will build nests in wall voids, attics, abandoned beehives, or other sheltered cavities. They are predators, and they are known to attack large insects like grasshoppers, crickets, and other hymenopterans, like yellow jackets and honeybees. They are active both during the day and night, making them diurnal. So here's a good picture of a European hornet. They are going to have some yellowing on the abdomen, but one of the different colorations that they have is they are red. We see red, black, and yellow all the time whenever we do end up dealing with these specific wasps. The paper wasp, Polistes dominula. Paper wasps tend to build their nests above ground in the form of an inverted umbrella. The brood can be seen clearly from underneath when built on eaves or above ground structures. Paper wasp colonies are relatively smaller than those of other hymenopterans, containing usually only about 200 active members of the colony. Like hornets, they are going to prey on other insects. These are the primary wasps that our technicians are going to deal with on a regular basis. All right. Whenever a customer says they have wasp nests on the eaves, or that the technician didn't knock down, this is usually what they're referring to. And we see these 99% of the time in Dallas and Austin, Oklahoma, Houston, um, and they're very, very common. So, your first code word of this video is paper wasp. Okay, paper wasp is your first code word for this video. Moving on to cicada killers, Specius speciosus. Cicada killers are solitary predators. Okay, as their name implies, cicada killers capture cicadas and carry them back to their underground nests as food for their young. Their large size is generally alarming to most people, but they rarely sting. These wasps prefer sandy soils for their nesting sites, so golf course sand bunkers, playgrounds with sandboxes, sand volleyball courts are definitely attractive to nesting females. And I can definitely attest to y'all that these particular wasps rarely ever sting. When I was actually a technician here, we I got a call about wasps hovering around in the front yard, and when I pulled up, it was cicada killers, and there's about 300 of them. There's about 300 of them swarming, doing a mating flight in the front yard, and the customer was so freaked out, so scared of these things because they didn't know that they just see that they're wasps. So I decided to walk right out in the middle of the whole swarm. Didn't get stung one bit, and the customer was his jaw was on the floor. It was hilarious, but after that, the customer then realized, okay, hey, look, they're probably not going to hurt me. So here's what they look like. They are pretty large in size, which makes them alarming, but they are primarily black in color on the abdomen with some yellow markings. And you can see to the right of that wasp that there is a bit of or a hole or a nest that this insect is using uh, to nest in. Now, the parasitoid wasp, or Cotesia congregata, parasitic wasps are among the most important beneficial insects that we have. They're going to lay their eggs in or on other insects, which will eventually kill the host. They are not structural pests and they do not sting. However, they can be found inside structures when they are parasitizing other insects. So we teach the technicians to always look for the underlying infestation when they're parasitizing other insects. So a lot of times they're going to be found indoors, usually attacking cockroaches like American roaches, German roaches, things like that, or stored product pests like Indian meal moths. And these things are super tiny. They can be pretty alarming whenever a customer has wasps in their house, but they're really not going to bother us whatsoever. They're more of a nuisance than anything else. The mud dauber, Sceliferon caementarium. Mud daubers get their names from their nest that is constructed out of mud used from the environment around them. The nest can be found on walls and ceilings, in garages, attics, and other places on the structure. Mud dauber nests are almost always provisioned with spiders so that the larvae can have food or can have a food source as they grow. Mud daubers are not aggressive and they rarely sting. Now, when I was first starting out as a technician, I saw kind of this metallic blue colored mud dauber, and I about lost my mind because I thought it was the coolest thing ever, seeing a blue mud dauber roll around because we don't really see blue very often in the pest world. Most of the time, these specific insects are black in color, but after doing some research, I found out they can show up in black or a metallic blue black color, and it was really, really cool to see. So now we're going to talk about arachnids, right? A lot of the common arachnids we come across as pest professionals are the wolf spiders, house spiders, black widows, brown recluse, cellar spiders, and scorpions, all right, at least for what we deal with. Now, arachnids differ from insects as far as control because normal products like sprays really don't affect them as effectively. They can still work, but not as good as insects. Mainly because they're not going to absorb any products through their legs. They're not going to groom themselves regularly, so ingested toxicants don't work very well. So the best course of action for arachnids is to kill them all. join the mobile infantry and just kill them all. Yes, I'm a big Starship Troopers fan. I had to add it in there. So, um, but anyways, the best course of action really is to control their food source, use repellents, use dust, use glue boards, um, to really kind of gain control over where these insects or arachnids are coming from. First up is the wolf spider. It's part of the family Lycosidae. And the thing about these spiders is they can spin webs, but they don't generally. They are ground predators, and whenever we're treating, especially around new houses, we'll find them coming up around the foundation line because that's where they're going to find a lot of insects. You know, they're going to have the warmth of the house or the coolness of the ground. You know, it's a nice tight area where we find a lot of insects, and so we're going to find them a lot. They do bite, but their bite is that of a wasp sting, so it's not generally harmful unless you are allergic to spider bites by some miracle. And we identify this particular spider by the two black stripes on the cephalothorax here. Insects have a head, thorax, and abdomen, as we've discussed in previous videos, but arachnids are different. They have a fused head and thorax and an abdomen. And we call this a cephalothorax. Okay, so the two black stripes on the cephalothorax is kind of the main giveaway that we use to ID wolf spiders. Moving on to the house spider. Um, so the house spider is those are those types of spiders that we'll see in the corners of next to doors and windows, or the ones that create cobwebs within the house. These guys are more of a nuisance than anything else. They're not going to bite you, you know, or anything like that. They create unsightly webbing. And the problem is they are very rude and they don't clean up after themselves. The black widow. The black widow is the big bad boogeyman, okay? Latrodectus mactans. These are the big bad boogeymen that everybody is afraid of, and rightfully so. You know, where black widows have a venom that is a neurotoxin. So whenever you get bitten, it doesn't stay in that one spot. It goes and starts to attack the nervous system, and they are very, very common, especially in new build homes. I know at my house, when I built my house 4 years ago, I think I killed like 30 in a month. They're everywhere. And I'm just now getting to the point 4 years later, after continuous treatment, that I'm not seeing any. Not to say that it takes that long for everybody, but it can take a while because they will nest in all kinds of different places. We can find them in attics, we can find them in garages, we find them in weep holes of houses, we find them in flower beds. I've found them even up on eaves before. And the thing about these widows is their nest or their webbing is extremely identifiable because they create a nest that is just a kind of looks like a tangled mess to us, but they know how to navigate their nest very well. So whenever we see those types of nests hanging out from weep holes, we know a widow is near. And also, the hourglass figure on the underside of the abdomen is the key identifier for these particular spiders. We do take care of these. We want to take care of these fast, and quick, fast, and in a hurry because of their danger. So if we have a customer who calls in and says they have black widows, we really, really want to try to get a same day set up for them so that we can get out there and get them taken care of. The other big bad boogeyman, brown recluse or Loxosceles reclusa. This spider, in my opinion, gets a lot of negative publicity, a lot of media hype. Okay, their venom is necrotic. So as they end up, whenever they bite you, yes, they can cause that black necrosis on the skin. But a lot of times that is caused in conjunction with a secondary staph infection, right? And only about 10% of the population that get bitten by these spiders are going to have that black necrosis effect. And about 1% of the population is going to have a systemic effect, where the venom could get in the bloodstream and cause some issues or just have a total body shutdown. They get a really, really bad rap okay, because of what the media has put out about them. But they are dangerous, but not as dangerous as media likes to make them out to be. The key identifier for these particular spiders is this fiddle-shaped marking on the cephalothorax here. That's why they also get their name as the fiddleback spider or the violin spider. These spiders really love clutter. So if we have an attic space um, or a garage space, a house, someplace that just has a lot of clutter and not a lot of human intervention or disturbance, that's where they're going to be found. The cellar spider. So the cellar spider is what is considered the actual daddy long legs. Okay, the daddy long legs that we're used to is technically not even an arachnid, because it has one body segment, whereas spiders are going to have two. So this is the cellar spider. We're going to find it in attic spaces and crawl spaces mostly. Um, and we identify this particular spider in a few different ways. One being that the abdomen where it connects to the cephalothorax here is just slightly smaller than the tip here. So it almost kind of creates, if you visualize it, a rectangle shape, and it's elongated. The other thing is that whenever you see a single strand of webbing come down from a certain point to anchor to another point, that's a tripwire. So they're usually hanging out somewhere either down below or up above, usually up above that tripwire. Excuse me. Usually up above that tripwire. Um, and whenever something disturbs it, like an insect, they'll drop down and they will attack it and eat it. So they're usually going to hang upside down in their webs. Striped bark scorpion, Centriodes vittatus. So the striped bark scorpion, um, they generally have a lifespan of 4 to 5 years and reach sizes between 2 and 2.5 inches in length. These arachnids can be identified by a uniform pale yellow color with two dark longitudinal stripes on the carapace, with a dark triangle above the ocular tubercle. Okay, so that's a lot of information right there. So what they're talking about is these black stripes right here. All right. The top of the cephalothorax is called the carapace. And then the triangle that they're talking about is right here. It's really hard to see, but it kind of comes down across and then back around. These scorpions can, these scorpion sting can be painful and cause swelling and redness near the sting sites, like a wasp or a bee sting. The good news is that their venom is mildly toxic and rarely possess life-threatening risks, right? But it still hurts really, really badly. Okay. These particular scorpions are going to reproduce by giving birth to live young. Okay, and whenever they give birth, those scorpions are going to crawl up onto the mother's carapace and basically hitch a ride until they're ready to be on their own. So where do we find them? Okay, a lot of times Austin is going to deal with a lot of these. Fort Worth will deal with them too. A lot of times, we're working during the day, but unfortunately, scorpions are nocturnal feeders and will feed on other insects as a food source and even their own kind. So during the day, scorpions will usually hide in or beneath something such as burrows, debris, or even burrow in children's sandboxes. So when we get a call for scorpions, um, we really got to take caution when we're treating for these. We want to make sure that our customers are safe. On the interior of the home, we're going to look for undisturbed areas of the home like closets, crawl spaces, attics, and even around plumbing penetrations. Okay, so these guys love to hide and they're difficult to find at times. So that's why we use, a really good high residual insecticide and dust, glue boards, whenever we're dealing with arachnids, specifically scorpions, because we need to get these things under control. We need to get them under control fast, just because they are a stinging pest. Nobody wants to get stung by a scorpion. It hurts. Okay, but ID is the most important thing. And we also want to make sure that the environment puts pressure on the species, right? So eliminating harborage points. If we got a mound of leaves or amount of logs, like firewood next to the house, rocks, things like that. We want to remove a lot of this stuff away from the house so that way we can make sure that we don't give them hiding spots. We can do certain types of exclusions for them. We are not about to start selling scorpion exclusions by any means, but technicians can use silicone to seal up gaps in the home where we know that scorpions are getting into. But this is not something that we do as of right now, and it's probably not something we're going to be doing, simply because we don't have that much of a pressure to be offering that particular service. Now, with pesticide applications, the product selection is going to be extremely key. We're going to use pyrethrins, bifenthrin, cyfluthrin, deltamethrin, lambda-cyhalothrin, chlorfenapyr, and acetamiprid. We currently are using Talstar. We have Demand, we have Exciter, we have FastCap, we have DeltaGuard. Uh, we can get just about any product we need as long as we have approval for it. But our technicians are going to make the decision as far as what product is best to use based upon the pressures that the home is dealing with. They're also going to do cracks and crevice applications with dusts, and they're going to monitor with glue boards. Okay. So with all of this information, it's spiders and wasps are not something that customers want to have around. But it doesn't matter what issues we have, what issues the customer has, we can take care of them. And I've not found one insect as of yet that we just can't take care of. So with that in mind, your second code word, okay? Your second code word of the video is Black Widow, okay? Your second code word is Black Widow. All right. If y'all have any questions, y'all have any concerns, y'all want some more information, please feel free to text me. You can email me. My information is listed here, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. With that, I'll leave you to it, and y'all have a wonderful week. Thanks.